Hello and welcome to Nerd Subculture. I'm your host Jared.
And I'm Edwina.
And we're doing a Once More We're Feeling series on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Today we're doing Season 4, Episode 2, Living Conditions. This episode first aired October 12th, 1999, written by Marty Noxon and directed by David Grossman. Over to you, Eddie.
This is a full spoiler podcast. I'm a huge fan, but Jared has never watched the series all the way through, and I'm trying to convince him it's worth his time.
And no extra charge.
That's how much it's worth. Yes, you are trying to convince me still. Into Season 4. Okay.
Living Conditions.
Living Conditions, Eddie. What was your take on rewatching this episode?
You know, it is that thing, like the first 5 or 6 episodes of this season really, you know, it's about adjusting to change and growing up and her adjusting to college and this new life and
having a dorm mate.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is probably the most one of the most relatable episodes of Buffy, because I think nearly everyone out there has had the roommate from Hell, the housemate from Hell.
Yeah,
I know
we've all been there.
I know we've been there.
We're in a house full of them.
Yeah. So I love this episode.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I have to admit, it was pretty funny, this episode.
Yeah, and it's there's something like that standoff scene as well is just so well shot. You know, the slow-mo toenails. Yeah, there's some, and that, what is it, when, like, that horror movie shot with the tomato sauce dropping down on
extreme close-up.
Yes.
And Yeah,
it has, I think it's shot really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do really, really like this episode.
Okay, favourite of yours, huh? Definitely favorite.
It's probably one of the most underrated episodes. Like, it won't be in like anyone's top 10, but it probably should be.
Top 11 maybe?
Yeah. It probably always just gets to 11. Would you like to do the summary?
Yes. All right, I'll do the summary. While Buffy gets ready to patrol, her roommate, Kathy Newman, begins to annoy her, becoming increasingly irritating. Buffy leaves to go and patrol the campus, however, Kathy tags along with reluctant Buffy. Soon enough, they are attacked by a demon, however, Buffy pushes Kathy into a bush, resulting in her not seeing the demon. Buffy manages to fight it off, but as she leaves with Kathy, they are being watched by 2 of the demons who comment, "She may be the one." The next morning, Buffy goes to Giles' flat to describe the previous night's monster. Buffy's atypical interest in what Giles has planned for the day arouses his suspicion, and when pressed, she admits she is avoiding her dorm until Kathy leaves for class. As Buffy talks to Giles, Kathy is in the dorm room scrubbing the grass stain from her sweater from the previous night. Realizing it is ruined, Kathy wears one of Buffy's. Later on, Buffy goes to the Rocket Cafe for lunch, but sees Kathy in line. She cuts into the line to avoid her and meets another student, Parker Abrams. Buffy then joins Willow, Oz, and Xander, but becomes annoyed when Kathy also joins them and drops her lunch on Buffy's sweater. That night, the tension between the 2 roommates continues to grow and they both angrily go to bed. That night, Buffy dreams of the demon that attacked her on the previous night performing a ritual on her body and is shocked to find Kathy had the same dream. The following day, Buffy explains the dream to Giles, Oz, and Willow. Willow becomes concerned with Buffy's actions and attitude towards Kathy, so Oz agrees to go on patrol with her that night. During that night, the 2 demons meet again, and one confirms that she is the one. The group chants around a large fire, preparing to summon the Great Tepperich. Meanwhile, as Buffy returns to her dorm room, she is angered to find Kathy and Parker getting along. Buffy makes Parker leave.
Red flag.
But tells him he should meet again before leaving to go and patrol. While talking with Oz, Buffy shows more anger towards Kathy, telling him something has to be done. After going to bed, Buffy has the same unsettling dream. The following day, Buffy meets up with Willow, who tells her that she is convinced that Kathy is a demon due to her toenails growing even after being cut. Buffy goes to tell Willow that she plans to kill Kathy. Willow, startled by her behaviour, forces Buffy to go see Giles with the toenails. Upon arriving at Giles' house, Buffy is tied up by Oz and Xander, while Giles tells Buffy that he thinks she has been possessed by the demon. Giles leaves to go collect supplies from the magic shop to perform an exorcism, while Oz and Xander watch Buffy. However, Buffy gets free and knocks the boys unconscious before fleeing. When Giles returns with Willow, they wake up Oz and Xander before Giles realizes that Kathy is a demon. Buffy arrives back at the dorm room and eventually engages in a fight with Kathy, which results in Buffy ripping off Kathy's face, revealing her to be one of the demons. Kathy confesses to Buffy that she is escaping her dimension to go to college and has been sucking out her soul while she slept, planning on making the demons take Buffy back to her dimension. As this happens, the two demons in the woods summon Tepperich, the leader of the demons. Meanwhile, Giles performs a spell that returns parts of Buffy's soul already taken by Kathy just before Tepperich arrives at the dorm and takes Kathy back. Having had her own roommate problems, Willow moves in with Buffy and apologizes for doubting her suspicion on Kathy and is forgiven. However, when Willow takes a bite out of Buffy's sandwich, Buffy begins to react in a similar fashion to Willow's own annoying habits. The end.
Yeah, one thing I do have to mention is about the fact that Willow's situation is way worse
when
than
she's on the
Buffy's.
phone complaining about her dorm mate and Willow's there and she can't hear what she's saying because there is a party, a literal party going on around her.
Yes.
Like, what? It's like, oh, she's just the worst mate ever. And like, huh? What?
Like, there's Buffy going on about her just ironing her jeans and playing the divas over and over again.
Yeah. Love songs. Nothing but love songs.
That's it. And then you see like Willow is actually in a much, much, much worse situation. It's just Willow is like, oh, well, I guess this is, Willow wasn't even complaining. She's like, my roommate's kind of a challenge as well. Yeah. This episode, it isn't too deep. It's, as Giles said, learning to live with someone can be a challenge, and it's a challenge we've all had to face.
Yes.
And to be honest, I think we still have that argument over the thermostat.
Oh, yeah. That never stops, does it?
Yeah, like literally.
It's got to be 21, Eddie. That's perfect.
Literally the other night, you had the air conditioning on while I was trying to work, and the air conditioner is like blowing straight onto me. So I turned it off, and you were like, "I'm hot. Turn it back on."
I'm hot. Deal with it.
Yes, we actually had that argument. And it is that thing that when you're learning to live with someone, they're always the same issues. Someone doesn't do the dishes. Someone's stealing other people's food.
Now, that was a really good one. When she opened the fridge door and everything was labelled, the eggs individually labelled.
Yes. Which probably isn't too healthy, because I'm pretty sure like those kind of markers, like, because the shell it's just it's not.
It would sort of seep through a little bit, wouldn't it?
It would seep through.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever dyed eggs and stuff, like it does actually.
Yeah, it does absorb it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does actually absorb into the air. So probably not too healthy, but she's a demon.
Don't use a texter.
Yeah, she is a demon, so oh well. The stealing food, it's where like going into someone else's cupboard and like that, the whole thought of someone doing that to me is just
that was actually crossing a line. I really felt like just going in a cupboard like that and then wearing her shirt,
but without asking,
and in front of her as well.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty audacious.
Yeah, without even thinking that it was going to be an issue, she was just like, "Well, you wrecked mine."
Yeah, but considering what a control freak she was, labeling the eggs, and she wears her shirt.
Yeah, but Buffy did take her milk. That was the thing, without asking.
Okay, well, the milk. Come on, I think the milk's free for all, isn't it? I mean, that's
Well, do you remember?
Oh no.
So when we lived in a house in London, it was 7 bedrooms. There was 2 people possibly per room.
Yeah.
Every room in this house had been converted into a bedroom pretty much except the lounge room and kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And each room had their own fridge.
Yes.
Some fridges were in the bedrooms and some fridges were in the communal area, and ours was in the communal area.
Yeah.
And it was like a four-story house.
Yeah. All the way at the bottom to get a beer.
Yeah. So let's just say if you were all the way downstairs and you had to go upstairs to get milk, people just generally used to take our milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, wasn't too bad, except for this one housemate.
You have to jog my memory on this one.
All right. Can you remember the guy who used to play panpipes and smoke?
That weirdo.
Smoke rollies, like chain smoke rollies.
Yeah, that weird guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at the time where I worked, they, like most of the places in London, they supplied tea, coffee, and they'll have an entire fridge just for milk. So it wasn't that big a deal. I used to have my breakfast at work. Mm-hmm. So I'd only ever have like one of those half-litre, and as I said, everyone used to steal our milk. So I used to only ever get like the half-litre milk. But he used to use our milk, this guy, and then he would put the empty carton back in the fridge.
The perfect crime.
And then I once confronted him about it, and he completely denied it. And then I actually caught him doing it, and he was still denying it.
Oh, God.
And he had a bowl of cereal in his hand at the time. Anyway, not long after that confrontation, he got put in a mental institution. And the cops came round to tell us that he'd been put in a mental institution. He was more than just some weird guy. But yeah, and then I had to clear out his room for the next person to move in. And his room was just full of cereal bowls.
Oh, God.
Like, I think that's all he ate was cereal. But no,
What the hell did you do?
We have had some pretty bad housemates. But he was probably the worst.
The weirdest, definitely. Yeah.
And as I said, that house had a constant array of people flowing in and out over the time span that were there.
That one in that hostel we stayed in Paris and people stole our cheese. I was really shitted off about that. But this really nice cheese and it's just been raided. And admittedly, it was a communal fridge, so it was free for all. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that was because we had no money as well. And we're living on baguettes and.
Yes, but I had big plans for that cheese.
Yeah, you were pretty upset about that. They left you. Didn't they leave you like one slice?
One slice. Oh, thank you so much.
So that was my story about the worst housemate. What was your worst housemate story?
Oh,
tomato sauce fight.
Tomato sauce fight. That wasn't really that bad of a story, to be honest. That was kind of fun. Well, not really the worst story. The only thing that comes to mind is the kitty litter one.
I was thinking of that.
No, that wasn't really. It wasn't a housemate. It was a house friend.
He was at our house enough.
At our house, yeah. You ever seen the movie Snatch? And there's one line they consistently say on there: "Is never trust a piker."
Yeah.
And if you know what a piker is, it's basically a English gypsy. So the nomadic people who live in England. And I'll tell you one thing: they don't look like Brad Pitt.
Yes.
When you see these people, they look like they're pretty rough looking. I'm not saying they're ugly, but they look like they've had pretty hard lives, I guess. And my friends were having a bender.
They used to.
It was a Thursday night.
So these housemates used to have these 4-day benders that would start on a Thursday.
And on Sunday night.
And end on a Sunday.
So I don't know, maybe this is a Friday morning. I remember coming back from work and just seeing kitty litter everywhere. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So apparently what happened, they were outside the front of the house and some pikers have pulled up in a car and said to them, hey, do you want to buy some laptops and digital camera and all this crap and, whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, cool, I'll buy that, And he's run down to the ATM. He's brought the cash back. And they've shown him the case, this whatever case it was in. It was 2 laptops, 2 cameras, something like that. They've put it all in the case. They've given him the case. They've given him the money. They've driven off. He's gone in the house, and he's opened it up, and it was full of kitty litter. They did the old switcheroo on him with the case. So he paid about 400 quid. I don't know, about $800 American or Australian, I think, for kitty litter. Completely got swindled.
He was,
and I think someone had put it on the table and tried to shit in it. That's what was on the table.
He'd broken it open, and I do remember you seeing him, and he pretended to be a cat and proceeded to pull down his pants to take a dump. And this is like on our outside table where people eat. Yeah.
So that was our housemate's story. It's the first one that comes to mind. It wasn't really a horror story or anything like that, but that was one that sticks with me.
Coming home to the tree in the lounge room.
The tree in the lounge room was, they wanted a poking stick to poke one of the guys asleep. So they brought this log into a lounge room.
It was a tree.
And it sat there for a while.
Yeah. And then they were having they had these fights on the log. Like they put the log up against the 2 couches and were balancing on it and throwing pillows at each other.
God.
And then there was the time they stole the newspapers, and the whole lounge room was just full of newspaper.
Oh, God, there's some crazy shit that went on. Actually, the funniest one was there was a car wash right near us. And they waited until a car went in the car wash, and they ran in there butt naked and started showering themselves while the car was in there. Of course, the people in the car can't do anything. They're stuck in there. And all these naked guys are having this homoerotic sort of showering each other in the middle of the car wash. And all they could do was toot their horn. And then they bolted before they finished. And that was before we had cameras and stuff. That would have been a hilarious thing to see. Yeah.
There must have been CCTV footage of that somewhere.
Must be somewhere. Oh, actually, now, roommates, I just thought of one now. It wasn't us, but one of the guys is living with a girl who apparently was a real nasty bitch. Well, from his point of view, I don't know.
He didn't seem like such a great person.
We don't know the full story, but anyway, he ended up leaving. But before he left, he grabbed her toothbrush and shoved it up his ass and took a picture of it. And then when he left, he sent her the picture of the toothbrush, pushed up, the bristles were bent back right on the edge of his asshole. You could see it perfectly, that has been in his ass.
Oh, God.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. So that didn't happen to me, but I know that story. Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice little roommate revenge.
The roommate revenge, that's probably the worst one. But yeah.
Yeah, but I couldn't imagine him being great to live with.
Yeah. Sorry, back to Buffy. Who else we got to mention in this?
Look, it is that thing. They didn't really know what to do with Xander. Xander seemed really desperate to get the gang Avengers.
The Scoobies. He actually said to get the Scooby gang back together.
Yeah,
he actually said that.
He was desperate for some demon action.
So can anyone just walk into a university?
I guess so.
Is it not closed off or anything like that? No, it's not really a school, so I guess visitors are welcome.
I think you can just I know the universities here, you can pretty much wander pretty freely around.
Okay, yeah. There you go. That solves that problem. I wanted to mention Willow's flicks. The flicks were very popular in the early 2000s because we were about 2000. Oh, we're 99 then. But the flicks were really in back then.
Yes.
Remember Fomenka had her flicks in
yes.
X-Men?
Yes.
I love those flicks. You had the flicks too,
I
think.
had the flicks. I definitely had the flicks. The short bob with the flicks.
Yeah. And is she looking a bit tanned, Willow, as well?
A little bit. She looked good in this episode.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. I noticed that. Maybe she got a bit of sun or something, or they didn't pale her up as what she usually is.
Yeah.
Spent a bit more budget on the makeup, maybe.
Maybe it's as I said, everything's so bright in this.
Well, she looked a lot more pale in a previous episode. So even I gotta say, Buffy was looking pretty hot in some scenes too.
Yeah.
And leading into that, now was there something going on with her soul sucking? Was it actually affecting her at any point?
I think it actually was.
Because
it started to make her, because you see her at the start, she is though it's annoying her, it's not really affecting her that badly.
Yeah.
And as it goes, I think from the point that it starts happening, when she'd started taking enough of it, enough of the soul, Buffy couldn't hold back that anger anymore.
Right. And even the way she was dressing, I noticed, like you see where she's talking to Giles and she's wearing that beautiful sort of red dress, red top and dress. And then the end of it, she's wearing like something a 40-year-old woman would wear, like a librarian or something. It was very like that olive green dress,
olive green skirt, and like a
real long one too, like a real long dress. But, it wasn't a skirt. It was, and compared to what she was wearing earlier, like she looked like a elderly woman almost. So was that sort of the soul sucking defeat? Is that what happens when you get old?
maybe. Yeah. So, and Giles is looking, he's jogging.
Yeah, he's getting ripped.
Now and buying motorcycle magazines. Though that nice little area that I don't ever remember seeing that nice little courtyard.
Like Marrow's place almost. He's living in.
Yeah, this nice little area he's got going on.
So Oz got a bit more screen time as well. He got something to do.
Yeah, Oz had some really good moments with Buffy. Like, there's some really good Buffy Oz moments in this episode. And you don't get a lot of that, but yeah, you can kind of see them developing a pretty nice little friendship.
I feel like Seth Green's a little underused in this show sometimes.
Yeah.
I sometimes forget he was in it because he doesn't really do a lot. But now there was something we saw when he was on patrol with Buffy.
On his way there,
yeah.
There was a girl.
There was a girl that he saw, yeah.
Yes.
And he made eye contact with. Is that leading on to something?
Yes.
I don't know. Oh, okay,
yes,
right.
It might be leading on to something.
Yeah, and he saw those camo guys, the Initiative. We can say the Initiative.
Yeah,
I know who they are.
we can say it's the Initiative.
Yeah.
So had you seen this episode?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay.
And Parker Abrams.
Yes.
So, do we see more of him?
Yeah, we might.
We might? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we do see more of him.
He's a bit white bread, isn't he? It's the way she likes him, doesn't she?
Oh, the fact that he was like flirting with Kathy, the way that he was, just a massive red flag.
Oh, okay, right.
That's a clue of what's about to happen. What's to come.
No, she doesn't have luck with men, does she?
Mm-hmm. No, she doesn't have great luck with men.
Or demons.
Yes. But he might be a different kind of...
Oh.
Yeah. Ooh. Anyway. Did you go down a rabbit hole?
A little bit. So, we heard a song in this episode.
Oh.
Do I have to play it? I think I have to.
Do you believe in love after love? Okay, so this is a song that has single-handedly ruined the music industry.
So I was just looking at this song on YouTube. It has 180 million views, and I reckon half of them would be from Kathy.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, yes, this song... So, we all know the song, and yeah... Apparently the first song to use auto-tune. So, I went down a bit of an auto-tune rabbit hole. Now, to be fair, Cher used it...
Sing. She can actually sing.
But she didn't...
She used it as an effect.
Yeah, she used it as an effect. So like a phaser or a delay, any sort of effect you could use, or like distortion when you want to sound like you're talking through a radio or something like that. It was just an effect to put on the song. So now it's actually being used for people who can't sing, and people like Kanye West and even that Travis Scott guy uses it throughout their song.
Excessive
Well, throughout the whole song. I don't get it, but that's what they do. And so people like that, I can understand why they would use it. However, I'm watching a video of this guy called Wings of Pegasus. I suggest you check out his videos. They're really good. And he does a thorough, in-depth analysis of Michael Bublé. Now, Michael Bublé is someone who can definitely sing. He is a very great, talented singer. And in this video, he's saying now, not only can you hear auto-tune be used, but you can actually see it being used. And he uses a sine wave graph to see the pitches of the singers when they're singing. And you can see it like a sine wave going up and down when they're singing the notes. And he does a comparison between him and Freddie Mercury to give you an example of what you're looking for and what you're seeing. So when you see Freddie Mercury sing and he's singing his notes and he uses Somebody to Love, he just uses the isolated vocal parts of that song. And you can see when Freddie Mercury sings, fucking anybody find me, you can see that the notes going up, and you can see where the lines of where the notes are, and I'm using my hands to to gesture what I'm talking about. But basically, the sine wave will go up and down the notes of whatever he's singing. But they're not perfect, even for someone like Freddie Mercury, who was known for being an exceptional singer and hitting those notes. He is human, but humans cannot hit that note like bang on and hold it there, especially the vibratos. And the vibrato is when you go like that. And so when you're doing that, the sine wave's going up and down like a zigzag, basically. But
they're not perfectly even.
Usually the note will go in between the vibrato, so it's going up above the note and below the note, so it's going up and down it. And even with Freddie Mercury doing it, it's not perfect, and he's sort of all over the place, but it is pretty accurate, and that's how you sing. That's the normal way you do it. You don't notice it when someone's singing. Like, no one does a perfect note. If you want to hear a perfect note, you hit a piano key and bang, it'll hit that note and it'll just stay there and it'll finish there. But when you're singing that note, it'll go up to that note and then come down. So when he shows the Michael Bublé ones, and I had no idea about this, but you could actually see when Michael Bublé is singing that it looks like they've actually been snapped, where the note is hitting that and coming down, and when he's doing the vibrato, it's exactly in between. The note is in between the sine wave perfectly, which is just impossible for a human. Like, you cannot do that. This may be very controversial to say, but it seems pretty clear cut that Michael Bublé, at least in this album or song that he was showing, was using some sort of auto-tune. And even when one part where he hits the note perfectly, it's almost a flat line on when he hits the note. And that's when you know the auto-tune is being used. And I was quite shocked, frankly, to find out that he was using that. And I'm not sure there's any fallout from this. I'm not sure there's any scandal going on, or whether...
Well, why would there be?
Well, because he is a reputable singer. And he even speculated that it's possible that Michael Bublé might know that this has been done. This could be done after he's sung it and he's gone home, and then they've decided to, quote unquote, polish the track, and they've just used a bit of auto-tune just to, freshen it up, so to speak. But I would feel that Michael Bublé would hear that and think, "Ooh, hey, what's sort of going on there?"
I reckon he's probably paid a sound engineer quite a lot of money to polish.
Well, he's paid to polish it anyway. I mean, you do effects to the voice, which is just the graphic EQ and equalizer and stuff like that to polish it. But that's sort of like smoke and mirrors, or like just putting makeup on a girl's face. And the photoshopping or auto tuning is sort of the line you cross, of where you're like, oh, is that crossing the line there? When you take a picture of a model, and of course you put makeup on her, you make her look pretty, you put the lighting on, that's all okay. But the second you're digitally affecting her face and making her eyes bigger and her cheeks, narrower or higher, that's when I think you're sort of crossing a line a little bit of what you should or shouldn't be doing. And I don't know. There's it must be a bit of debate around that. And like someone like Travis Scott or Kanye, I mean, they obviously can't sing, and they openly use it because it's like you can hear it as loud as loud as you can. So, but they obviously know about it. But Michael Bublé, I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
well, I don't know. I think Katy Perry's also been pretty well known to.
Yeah, that could be. Although he did look at this Wings of Pegasus guy did look at Adele, and she didn't use any.
Okay.
So he could tell by the sine waves. You can just look at the information right there, and you can tell.
Adele does seem like someone who would have said, "Do not put
Well, I'd feel like that too. I feel like she's someone who would definitely be in control of her music and all that. So to think Michael Bublé would be unaware of it or not part of it, or I don't know, there would have to be some sort of consensus there to use it. I don't know. I wasn't there, but And I'm just some guy with a microphone. What do I know? So yeah, that was my little rabbit hole of auto tune. And to be fair, I'm completely against sort of using it. I mean, if you can't sing, then. But see, the thing is, you're taking out the human element of the voice, which is what you're kind of missing.
Unique.
The imperfections of it is what makes it sound more real. And when it's perfectly hitting those pitches, it's a little off-putting. It's like, well, you might as well just have a robot
but I think
singing.
auto tune, it'll be the mark of this era of music. Like you'll know, oh yeah, that came from the 2020s.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, it could be here to stay. I've heard of other people trying to use it who can sing, and it usually puts them off. But I'm not sure if they're singing with it at the same time, rather than just editing it after the fact. So I'm against it, to be honest. But that's just my opinion.
So I don't mind it. As you said, if you use it like the way that it's used in this, the Cher
song's fine. Yeah,
it's actually pretty good. But we all know that Cher can sing.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's when you put it on someone like Travis Scott. There's lots of other people who overuse it.
Again, they're using it as an effect, but it's open. It's pretty open that they're using it. They're not hiding it. Someone like Katy Perry, if they're using it, I'd say they'd be hiding it at some extent, and that would be a bit of a scandal, I'd imagine.
I don't even think using auto tune is even seen as, but it's seen. It isn't. It wouldn't be seen as a scandal.
I think so. I think it would be. I don't know if Michael Bublé's openly admitted he's used it on there, but it depends on the singer. Okay, if it's someone like Adele, I think that would be very, if it turned out she was using it, that would be a huge scandal for her. Huge.
Yeah. But then again.
But someone like Katy Perry, maybe not,
So are you saying the caliber of the singer depends on whether using auto-tune?
Well, I think it means their demographic. Okay, the young teenage girls, they probably don't care. But if it's an older audience, they appreciate someone who can really sing. And to find out that have been misled is, I think, what people would draw the line on, I feel.
I actually think it's gotten to that point people don't actually even care if auto-tune is being used.
You may be right.
And some people, like, I personally, if I can hear it in a song, I'm like, ugh.
Well, look, if you can hear it, then it hasn't been done very well. Like, the ones that Michael Bublé's has been done, it's been used very covertly.
Yeah.
It's not smack bang in your face.
Yeah.
So that's the point. Like,
but as you said, isn't that just a polishing?
Well, I made the comparison.
Isn't it almost probably part of, like, sound engineers would probably learn how to do that, and that, like, the better the sound engineer, the less likely you are to know that auto-tune's been used.
So I'm really squirming here, aren't I? I'm like, well, like I said, with the model, all right. So you take a picture of a model.
Yeah,
you do the makeup.
You mentioned Photoshop.
Yeah.
So my line of work. I quite often have to alter photographs.
Well, that usually comes up when the girl's on a cover of a magazine and they've photoshopped it.
Yeah,
and people usually pick on that and say, "Hey, what's going on?"
Well, but there's only so much that Photoshop can do, really.
I mean, I've seen a video of where they've completely photoshopped a girl for a poster, and it's not just a little touch up on the blemishes. They've actually widened the gap in her eyes, done her cheeks, and by the end of it, it didn't even look like the same girl. Basically, So,
but again, it gets that uncanny. What is it?
Uncanny valley.
Uncanny valley look to it. You can tell that it's been done.
Yeah.
But so, as I said, I get a lot of, hey, can you just, it's get rid of the blemishes. If you can see hair, like, Photoshop the hair. It's make more hair, make less hair.
Yeah. Well, it's not a line, but it's sort of a road of where too much is too much and where you're sort of overdoing it. So, again, what I said, for someone like those other singers of Kanye West and all that, I couldn't care whether they used it or not. It's not my demographic and it's not my field. And their fans probably don't care as well. But I feel like someone like Michael Bublé, their fans would probably care and would take notice. So it depends on the singer and
as I said, a lot of people or a lot of musicians do think that auto-tune has, like, I did actually watch a documentary about auto-tune. And, and the fact that it was used in Believe, and the sound engineer who first used it for the song Believe regretted it massively because he didn't realize how much it would affect what ended up happening within the music industry.
Well, there you go.
So, and he was like, he sort of felt guilty going, I
Created a monster.
I created a monster. I contributed to the decline in the value of music at the moment. Like, the quality of music at the moment is atrocious.
What the hell did you do?
So that's my take on that.
All right. I think I've sort of hit all my points.
Question time?
Yeah, maybe go into question time.
Answer the question.
Okay, Jared.
Yeah.
Which character was your favourite?
I really liked Oz in this episode,
Yeah, it was a good Oz episode.
but I do like Kathy.
It is that thing with Kathy where she's just... So I put Buffy as my favourite character in this because it was actually fun seeing her being just, as Willow put it, Cordelia-esque.
Yeah.
She was being just super petty, like at her pettiest. Yeah, so I went with Buffy. Which character did you love to hate in this episode?
See, I went with Kathy again.
Yes.
So can I say that my favourite character is a character I love to hate?
Yeah,
So I put Oz there because I didn't want to say Kathy.
yeah.
But yeah, Kathy again.
Yeah, I put Kathy, and it is that she's just so perky.
It's super fun.
Like, she's just that person whose energy's, so, she's in that super energy. Like, you can tell that she's completely naive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Has she could also, you also saw that she had a bit of a snarky side as well.
Yeah, the passive aggressive side.
Yeah,
as well.
she was super passive aggressive. Like, if you don't have an issue with Buffy taking your milk, why mention it? And the asking lots of questions.
Yeah. And just avoiding herself everywhere too.
Yeah, yeah.
Inviting herself to lunch, inviting herself on the walk.
Yeah, well, I kind of that's understandable because, as Willow said, she doesn't know anyone. She's trying to make friends. She's trying to develop a friendship with Buffy, but not realizing that she's been very smothering.
Just comes off as patronizing as well.
Yeah, yeah. And incredibly annoying.
Soul sucking.
What was the most memorable fight scene?
The fight scene in the dorm room, I thought was...
Which one? There's a few.
Which one? Well, the physical one, I meant.
Yeah, when she rips off her face.
Rips off her face. Yeah. I knew it!
And where she's like hitting her with the phone.
And threw her out the window.
Yeah, yeah. The window's open. Yeah, I have that as the final showdown with Kathy, and Kathy gets her face ripped off. But Kathy does throw the first punch, and you can see after she does that punch, Buffy's like, oh yes, I'm glad you did that.
Thank you.
Okay. Next question. LOL moment. There were a lot in this episode.
Yeah, there really were. Just the look on Buffy's face when she opened the fridge and just everything has a name on it.
But there was also no room for her stuff.
Yeah, she couldn't even put an apple in there.
Like, that is such a selfish move as well. Like, Buffy didn't even, when I've lived in certain houses where you get a shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there was no even divvying out shelves. She just took the whole fridge to herself.
Could have left the eggs in the carton to save some room.
Yes.
So, and just on that too, I've noticed a lot of GIFs from this episode as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the You Bet when she's leaving to go on the walk, and she says something, and she's like, "You bet." Buffy says that. There was the face when she's watching the source go on her top, and the Buffy angry face. I think
no, it's like the, what do you call it? Like the
extreme close up.
Extreme close up
of her
on her
face,
eyes.
pulling a nasty greasy. So a couple of those I noticed. Yeah, gifs in that.
Yeah.
What else? There's so many funny moments in this episode. What did you have?
I had, like the Cold War showdown in the dorm room, and Buffy's putting a lock on her cupboard.
Yeah.
And, she's trying to ignore her. She's bought some earmuffs to drown out the music. But she's sitting there clipping her clipping her toenails.
Flossing her teeth. Yeah.
And she's like, the flossing. Oh my God, the flossing. Yeah, there was so many laugh out loud moments in this episode. Yeah, it's a great episode.
Yeah.
Because of these
it was pretty heavy on the laughs this episode, I felt.
Favorite scene?
Well, that was actually my favorite scene, that Cold War that they're having, the tapping on the book, and then
but like the heightened sound of it as well. Like,
she's whacking that, and then she puts some music on.
Because Kathy was also getting pissed off by it. Like, Kathy's getting pissed off by Buffy. Buffy's getting pissed off by Kathy. Yeah. Yeah, my favourite scene has to be... It's probably the opening scene, as it sets up the conflict for the entire episode.
What was the opening scene?
That's when Buffy's trying to leave and Kathy is listening to the same song over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like mid-conversation, and she walks over to the stereo.
Rewinds it to hear that part again.
like they're in the middle of talking. Kathy's also ironing her jeans at that point. And that's when she's like, I've got this system for the phones.
Write down who you call.
Right, and then we can divvy it up at the end, that type of stuff. And, her generally being really passive-aggressive about the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And, being a bit clingy and smothering to Buffy. Like, as I said, it does kind of set up the entire episode really well.
Yeah.
It's what makes it work.
Yeah.
Like, the episode doesn't work unless you have that opening scene. Next question. Least favourite scene?
I thought Buffy and Parker
Oh,
talking.
you didn't like him being a little thief?
I don't know. I really couldn't think of a least favourite scene.
Yeah, I had difficulty too, so I just went with like the dream sequences because I don't particularly like scorpions.
Okay.
And where the hell was she keeping that scorpion?
Yeah. It was in a jar in the fridge. Kathy.
Favorite quote.
So in the Cold War scene, I know it was like a bit of a double entendre or something when they keep closing the door, opening the window. And it's funny how Kathy does it as well. Like as soon as Buffy's back is turned to go in the fridge, she runs over. She quickly stops ironing, runs over and closes it.
Yep.
And comes back down. And then Buffy turns around, sees it, opens it, and Kathy's like, "I'm cold." And Buffy's like, "Well, I'm hot. Deal with it." Is that a little double entendre, maybe?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Of it?
Just
I'm hot. Deal with it.
Yeah. I like the cat. Same scene, actually. It's the Kathy going, "Do you know what your problem is, Buffy?" Buffy's like, "You?" She's like, "Hardly." Hardly. Your problem is you're spoiled. Maybe the world revolved around you where you used to live, but it's share time now. Who likes sharing? No one likes sharing. Sharing sucks. You try telling a kid to share, they don't want to share. You know why they don't want to share? Because sharing sucks.
It's terrible.
Anyway. Okay. Who gets the wooden spoon?
I gave it to Parker.
What, for flirting with Kathy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit useless, I thought.
Oh, you're already not liking Parker.
It's fucking white bread.
I went with She probably... How on earth does that happen? Like, you're a demon and you've come from another dimension to go to college and you just happen
to pick the Slayer.
Get chosen for a roommate. Your chosen roommate is the Slayer.
Out of all the people in the world.
All the people in the world, out of all the colleges.
You had to roll into this one.
You rolled into the one with the Slayer, who managed to thwart your evil plan. If she had been with any other person...
She would have succeeded.
She would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
And who's the MVP of the episode?
I gave it to Buffy.
I gave it to Giles.
Oh, okay. He came through in the end.
Yeah, Giles is the one that came through in the end.
Now, I wanted to talk about that. So everyone really doubted Buffy again. This happened once before, didn't it?
Yes.
Where she was convinced about something and everyone thought she was crazy.
Ted.
You're right. That's right. Yeah. And no one believed her then. So this exact same thing happened. So I was a little put off by that. Like, you know, we'd been down this road before and she was completely right. And you didn't even sort of...
But it was...
You didn't even indulge the idea that she could be onto something. You just went, oh, no, she's crazy. I know she was acting a little crazy, but you didn't believe her last time, and she was completely right. So it seemed odd that they just dispelled her pretty much straight away. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It is that annoying thing, but they have to do it every now and again. But Giles didn't completely...
No, Giles didn't, but he did enough to capture her.
Well, only because she was actually starting her behaviour had become erratic. And like breaking the bench in front of Oz the way that she did. And she was just like, she has to be stopped. She was almost threatening to kill her at that point.
Yeah.
But, Giles did come through in the end. Like
in the end, yes, but rather hesitant, I thought. A little hesitant.
Well, they did have to capture her because she was starting to be dangerous, but he didn't completely ignore the toenails.
No.
Because she had proof. That was the thing. I think she knew from the last time that she needed proof.
Yeah. But I still felt like they just jumped to that extreme conclusion a little too quickly for my liking. So that's me.
I know. It's happened more than... I can't really think of the other episodes it happened in, but in the Pact as well, that was another one where Giles didn't believe her.
Yeah. See? Again. Oh, that's all season 1. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't count.
Yeah. That's a write-off that season.
Yeah. And... Yeah. But anyway, Giles ends up getting her soul back and... Yeah.
Saves the day.
Saves
On your
the
Giles.
Day. Saves the day. And what do you rate this episode out of 10?
6 eggs named Kathy.
I went 9 out of 10 wily gum and dairy gnomes.
What the hell is that?
Well, because she kept saying, like, because it was like whenever...
Oh, the gum on the chewing gum.
She was like gum gnome.
Gum gnome.
And yeah, she kept bringing up gnomes every time Kathy was being super passive aggressive. She was like, who's going to come steal milk? The wily dairy gnome. And then when she puts her book down on the gum.
And she swallows the gum. Wasn't me.
She's like, gum gnome?
Hey, do we see gnomes in this?
No.
Get
trolls, I think, eventually.
Yeah.
I think we could we get a troll.
Right. No gnomes.
No gnomes. Oh no, we do get garden gnomes. They do play a role.
Well, there you go. What do you mean that's what a gnome is. Garden gnomes. Oh.
But like, the porcelain garden.
Yeah, okay,
gnomes.
right.
Yeah. And there is one more thing I wanted to mention is that I did think that Willow was starting to realise there was something off with Kathy in that end scene.
When she confronts her and tells her to stay there. Yeah.
Yeah. And she, I think Kathy's trying to set it up so that when Buffy gets taken into the other dimension, they won't be suspicious of her. Because she's saying to Willow, I wouldn't be surprised if she just up and left.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Willow is kind of going, oh, this is a bit weird. And then I think Oz calls and says that she's got Buffy and
Yeah, it did look like she was trying to figure out something then, but then got distracted. But yeah,
yeah,
I think she would have come through in the end. Or not.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to? Do you believe?
No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. What we are doing is this instead. Yeah, we're wrapping it up for another week. Another episode. So we are Nerd Subculture. My name is Jared.
I'm Edwina.
And you can find us on
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. There is a Facebook group, and you can email us at nerdsubculture@gmail.com.
Yes, send us some likes, reviews or something. Ask us a question. Do you like auto-tune? I don't. But till then, take care. Bye.
Bye.